take 100 before we go down. Rain turns red in the broken light. Every step we took led back to this fight. Command went dark, the sky went black, but still we fire, still we push back. They knew this drop was suicide, but no hell diver ever rise. This is the curse they gave to us, the jungle grave where steel turns to rust. No one left, no going back. We are the wall they couldn't crack.
Evening's Freedom, stalwart defenders of freedom with stalwart LNGs. That was Malevolon's Curse by Goodfellas Gaming, which sounds pretty darn spooky, and so it should. Practically every single robotic life form that has ever ventured to Malevolon has perished in some gruesome fashion or another. To the automatons, we are the curse of Malevolon. So, before I get into anything else, I want to cover something a member of the community said a few hours ago. From Vertex and Nadir. Us, Vertex, and Nadir hate each other, but we can agree on one thing. Your Seraphim couldn't take one or the other. And honestly, you're absolutely right. But I can't smart you. You see, Gunfold had some very wrong information. My standing army wasn't that large, but because of their distant perspective, they couldn't really take a look at the closer details. I don't really have millions of people working for me. More like a couple hundred at best. Those military personnel that were leaving Krakatwo? Just civilians wearing Seraphim uniforms so that they wouldn't get harassed on their way out the door. It was your wording that said that anyone wearing a Seraphim badge or following my orders must leave the planet by the end of the 7th. And so they did. There were actually quite a few people on Krakatwo who didn't want any part of your conflict and wanted to leave, especially when they heard that you were getting ready to throw around nuclear, chemical, and biological agents like candy on Super Halloween. I saw these schematics for what was being drawn up. Chem agents that would be making people cough their literal lungs out. And we already saw what happened at Garthalo. But now they're all well safely outside of your reach. Where exactly? Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy? But to enjoy your mostly vacant planet, it's perfect for you to fight over now until you both knock each other unconscious. Sadly, there were a number of people who wanted to leave the Nadir-occupied side of the planet, and I could only execute so many extraction helldives without the Nadirs knowing something that was going on. They knew what I was asking of them, what fate awaited them if they stayed. So with all of that in mind, I will say only this to both Vertex and Nadir. Do as you like within your own territory, but if I ever see either of you again, we will be taking that bet that I spoke of before, and we'll just see who comes out on top. Threats of certain doom aside, let's take a look at news from the Galactic Sphere, and the news for tonight is great. It looks like the brave defenders of Krakatwo are going to narrowly edge out a win against the Terminid swarms. It's a race against time to clear the last few hives away and free up super destroyers to intercept the oncoming Sporefall event in deep space. If both of these objectives are secured, Krakatwo will be safe and the Southern Predator Strain access corridor shut down. On the other side of the Galactic Sphere, Tarsh has some good news to report as well, showing good, green, positive liberation values and a completion ETA of sometime early tomorrow morning. All of you were so worried that we were cooked, that humanity was doomed, and what did I say? I told you not to worry, that we'd get the job done, that victory was never in doubt, so... Yeah, you know you earned that. Stare deep into the soothing navy blue background. Read the words and say out loud, Pandera is always right. Pandera is always right. There you go, now you got it. Still, that's no reason to let your guard down. We might have blown the Jit Brigade back into the Windows 95 era, but the Incineration Corps is still out there. Their commander is absolutely insane, and he is ready to dance a mean tango with us. That being said, tomorrow a new war bond will be announced, so be sure to tune in to the Low Sodium Helldiver Super Reddit board for your information on that first thing in the morning. There's all manner of conjecture over what it could be. Perhaps the revival of the heavy assault vehicle from the First Galactic War, getting your squad to where they need to go in style, grace, and overwhelming firepower. Or possibly a Space Marine collaboration with the Democratus Astartes that I've heard some whispers of. I've actually been asked about this quite a bit, and legitimately I do not have an answer for you, dear listeners. Arrowhead R&D has practiced maximum OPSEC on this, and even my lovely husband was raising an eyebrow over how tight-lipped Super Earth's top military research and development firm is being about this. This one is gonna be big, so get excited, Helldivers. Now we move into news from the business sphere, starting with stock market price changes. As usual, the Mercdivers PMC is showing a slow trend upward and providing dividends from my retirement package once I finally rid the stars of all these evil automaton scumbags and their minions. The cave filling operation has shown no movement despite there being an abundance of craters that need to be filled in, and Gunvald is showing a meteoric rise of 5% from last week. Clearly, Mr. Gunvald knows exactly what he is doing, though I do understand that he is busy this week studying for some manner of exam. What exam does a planetary CEO need to pass? Your guess is as good as mine, but I kind of like this idea that rulers and leaders need to pass some sort of mandatory test every now and again and be issued report cards from their constituents. I guarantee you 90% of the Ministry of Truth would fail a basic math exam and make my job of deposing them immensely easier. Tank Hunters continues to struggle and show another loss of 4%, which I really have to question, what is going on here? Don't these guys manufacture the recoilless rifle? Maybe I should start my own arms manufacturing firm. It does not seem to be that hard. It's as CEO Varric once said, if you can't make money during a war, you just flat out can't make money. Blackwall IT Solutions has not offered any contracts or business for some time, and is apparently struggling with that lack of field data, showing another loss of 5%. Ouch. Future Foundations has nothing to report for good or ill, and Anvil Industries is celebrating their good fortune of not being unceremoniously destroyed during the recent Malevolon scare. They're actually doing quite well, gaining 3% this week, and surprisingly, Venture Company is up by 2%, despite being a defunct entity. Not really sure what's going on there, but perhaps the business of assembling the Angelic Rebellion's navy gave them some much-needed capital to get started back up again. We can also see a stock price history line chart here showing that while most other stocks have remained fairly steady, the Mercdivers PMC and the Gunvald Corporation are rising to the cream of the crop without stopping for breath. Very much a bull market in their case, if I am using the term correctly. What do you think, stock hounds? Are these companies rising only to tumble down later, or is this just a small sign of future fortunes to come? Moving on swiftly, because we actually have quite a lot to cover tonight, the Mercdivers Bounty Board is bouncing, hosting not one, not two, but 3 contracts right now, starting with Operation Upgrade. The Knights of the Covenant feel that the main Illuminate fleet will arrive soon and are preparing powerful stealth and weapons technologies to counter them. However, they lack the practical means to deploy them, so they want you to steal the automaton scrap so that it can be repurposed and redeployed. This contract calls for 70 air-based destruction missions to be completed, along with 50 detector towers, anti-air emplacements, and mortar emplacements to be destroyed on Azterra level D6 or higher. 1 million super credits will be distributed upon completion with the deadline of May 11th. Pretty straightforward stuff, so those of you on the bot front, this is easy money. You know what to do. This next one is pretty simple, even for those as thoroughly as concussed as us. Operation Reclamation is being run by the DSS Coalition Strike Force and is focusing down planets with 0.5% decay rate values. This time, that means full rock. The task is to liberate the planet of Terminid occupation, focusing on missions with a hazard level between D8 and D10. 500,000 super credits will be distributed upon completion of the contract, with the deadline coming down on May 12th. Next we have... first of all, happy birthday, Mr. Rindy. The issuer of this contract, Operation B-Day, is Mr. Rindy, the research coordinator for the Mercdivers, and wants us to kill 652,005 Terminids, coinciding with the date that he was born. Makes sense to me. Bringing up the rear, we have not a contract, but a bounty. Return to Claorell. An anonymous client within the Merc Divers has various assets upon the planet. If we tell you, we're going to have to kill you variety of assets. You'll be paid in increasing increments from 500 super credits per successful mission on a D7 hazard level to 2,000 super credits on a D10. This bounty will run until May 19th, but there is also a time-critical part of this operation where you will be paid 750 super credits for each successful valuable data retrieval mission on the flanks Claorell, Gaellivare, Veld, Estanu, Aesir Pass, and Fort Union. This part of the bounty expires 5:30 p.m. Super Earth Eastern Standard Democratic Time tomorrow, so you might want to get a move on to catch that check so you can cash that check. Now we round things out with that cup of liberty that I was talking about over the evening paper. The Weekly Raven opens with mentioning that the Orion sector is completely overrun with boats, and the Freedom Alliance is not happy about that and are calling upon the wolves to try to scour these planets clean. A new batch of Inertiar has passed their trials, and they welcome Thooper and Cat into their ranks. They'll be acting as bodyguards for Jarl Quicksilver and Munid, who will be attending the Meridian Singularity Party at Widow's Harbor next week, and I hear tell that everyone will be clad in runic armor designed to disrupt Illuminate mind control like invincible cans of soup, just in case. With that much woven muscle on the field, the squids won't stand a chance. By the way, Vertex and the Deer Divers, these guys are pretty fond of me, and they're the ones I'd be running crying to if he decided to be mean to me. Just FYI. The next page recaps the most recently passed major order, with every objective plant secured save for Claorell, but that's just late work that we could turn in for extra credit. Same thing with dealing with the Predator strain. Though, let me go off script for a moment about the Predators. It has been the subject of much wonder why the Predator strain is seemingly increasing in number and savagery the further they project into Federation space, and it has recently been revealed why. While their biology might have been forged within the depths of the gloom, their metabolism has been supercharged by the consumption of sweet snack foods that are plentifully stocked on Super Earth planets. What I'm trying to tell you, dear listeners, is the reason the Predator strain is reproducing out of control is because these Terminids are completely out of their fluffing minds on Doritos and Mountain Dew. Existential horror aside, we swiftly move from that into Norse lore of the week, and this week's subject is Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok, and the being that Fenrir III is named for. He is the son of Loki and Angerboda, a giantess and the mother of monsters. The Aesir were fearful of Fenrir and kept him chained up, telling him that this was all just a game to test his strength. Fenrir was fierce to the point that no other god, save for Tyr, was willing to feed him, and for the attempt, Fenrir took the god's hand. It is said that during the time of Ragnarok, Fenrir will break free and devour everything in his path, including Odin, but the wolf will perish from one of Odin's avenging sons. Honestly, the tale of Fenrir really does remind me of the Predator strain. We've been trying for decades to chain up this species, and look where that's gotten us. The next page dives into Viking history and culture. In this week, we look at Viking funeral rites. The pirate boat was only one method of honoring the dead, and even then, it was pretty rare and pretty expensive to do. There are burial mounds scattered all over the Norwegian peninsula of Super Earth. Other times, the body was simply burned and offerings were commonly made to send the deceased what they would need in the afterlife. Said offerings either burned or buried in the aforementioned burial mounds with them. The common folk had smaller burials in wooden coffin or simply buried in pits within the earth, with the type of burial and offering showing a reflection of how the individual was thought of by the community. That wraps up the Weekly Raven for another week, everyone. As usual, I would like to thank Munin, Hilmar, Oracle, Snarlo, Venom, Silas, Hellfire, and Ishgarden for their fine work. Also, this beam down here makes me giggle. That's also been Liberty's Latest with me, Pandera the Radio Angel. This is a great time to get one's head back in the game, Helldivers. Contracts, bounties, war bonds, enemies on the run. Let's kick it into high gear, because the enemies of humankind leaving is good. Never coming back is better. For liberty, for freedom, for democracy, and for the angelic rebellion. Viva la Revolution Angelique.